So today our class and whatever the tools I'm going to train you is LoadRunner and Jmeter. And apart from that, I'm more passionate about implementing the utilities as well. So for this performance testing tools, I have implemented few utilities like automatic report generation process. Means if we click on simple utility, if we open and if we enter the credentials, whatever we need, if I click on the link, it will automatically generate all the server side metrics, client side metrics, and is there any bottlenecks? I mean, is there any JProfiler or thread drums, heap dumps metrics, garbage collection, all the metrics together? And previous companies are using my utility, so I'm passionate about implementing that utilities. I'm having little knowledge on Jmeter as well. I mean Java as well. So that is completely about myself, and let's start the class. So before going to start the class, whatever the tools I'm going to cover in this training, okay? So the main aim is like I'm going to covering LoadRunner and Jmeter, okay? So in LoadRunner, I will include, like, as you all know that we are having three components, right? View-gen, controller, and analysis. So those are the three components in LoadRunner. And JMeter, I will show you the executions like GUI mode and non-GUI mode, and including with the different regions. I think everyone is also knows that, right? In a few of the interview questions also we are getting like what is the where if we have different regions, how to execute the tests and how to consolidate the results. Okay, those things also I will include it in JMeter. And I will cover VTS, as you all know, that virtual table server. Why we will use virtual table server means like one script. Sorry, someone is saying something, or
Nothing, continue. Some disturbance.
yeah, sure. So I would like to include one thing before going to start. If you have any questions, you can discuss in after ending the session. Like after completion of my explanation, you can ask any questions, doubts, everything. Okay. Before that, I would like to explain all the contents, whatever I'm interested and whatever I would like to share. Okay, and I will cover VTS server for both LoadRunner and Jmeter. So in this LoadRunner and Jmeter, as you all know that LoadRunner virtual table server is already inbuilt implemented, but Jmeter it got not implemented, right? I will explain how to use that virtual table server also. Why we use means one script, if you run one script, we are getting some output data or order IDs. I would like to pass that order IDs to the next script. At that situation, we will use this virtual table server. I will cover that as well. And coming to the external tools, why we need external tools means like if we are unable to record it with LoadRunner or JMeter. So by using these external tools, we can record the script. Okay, Fiddler, Bad Boy, HTTP Watch, F12 developer tools, all these things we have external tools. We can use those to record the script and export it to JMeter or LoadRunner script. I will show you the UI part and how I will show you little touch up in this session only how the tools was how it was. And I will include the encoder decoder part and regular expression regex 101 as well. So I will explain in coming classes in deeper about each and every tool and each and every concept. And I'm going to cover API testing in LoadRunner and JMeter as well. In LoadRunner, I will cover like web or HTTP protocol, true client protocol, and API testing, API web services protocol also I will cover. And in JMeter, I will cover API testing. So how to use Postman for API testing, so I will cover that as well. And for integration, as you all know that, right, nowadays for integration everyone is using Git or Jenkins. So I will both cover Git and Jenkins. With LoadRunner also we can integrate with Git. As you all know that ALM means Performance Center. So Performance Center we do not have an access because it's a licensed one. But anyhow, I will show you with screenshots, how to connect the performance center, how to open that. And I will also cover microfocus. This LRE 2020 was the latest version in LoadRunner, right? I will cover that microfocus PC integration as well. And coming to the server side monitoring tools, I will show you how Performon, AppDynamics, and Grafana, all the things. I will show you how it was and what are the metrics we are going to cover in server side. Database monitoring, AWR reports. So AWR reports also I will show you like how we can pull the AWR reports, what type of calls we are getting, and how lengthy the calls was. All the things, even if it was a licensed one, I will covered with screenshots. And test data setup also, when we are using, client was using few tools, right, for database, Toad or SQL or MongoDB. All these tools we have used for data setup. Any one of these tools I will cover to show you. I'm going to show you in coming classes. And as you all know that, right, server side monitrix, garbage collections, thread dumps, heap dumps. Nowadays, all the in interviews also, all the questions are mostly covering with this thread dumps, heap dumps, and garbage collection analysis topics, right? These are cover under engineering level, performance engineering level activities. So I will show you the JProfiler. JProfiler is also a licensed one, though we are having available free version. So I will show you how we can gather all the thread dumps, heap dumps on the things. Okay, I don't want to spend more time on theory part. Okay, so if you are more interested on theory part, you can pause my video and you can read it. So I don't want to lag longer time, and I don't want to keep more efforts on theory part, because once you got a job or once you entered into an organization, no one should ask you about theory part. Okay, what is SDLC life cycle, what is STLC, no one will ask you. But the way how you are performing, like how to create the scripting, how to executing, how more you are expert in dealing the engineering level activities. So those things I would like to cover more. So I will give you like basic touch up of these all things like SDLC, STLC. So few, what I will explain. So SDLC means it's a software development lifecycle. So any product or any particular new application like to implement by the software industries, so they will follow this SDLC lifecycle methodology. Let's see how the SDLC lifecycle methodology. So in this SDLC we are having different phases. So you can read deeper about this in internet. I think you will also know that, right? So phase one means we can project initiation will happen, discussions will happen, and what are the features we are going to implement. All these things will happen. And the phase two requirements, what are the requirements we need to gather to implement that product, and we need to design, right? So internal or external team we need, or any what is the design or architecture of that, how many servers we need. All the things comes under phase three. In phase 4, like coding and projecting, like code review, what is the what type of code we will use, front end, what type of code we will use, all the things will be happen in phase 4. And phase 5, once the coding all the things will done, the testing phase is our phase. Okay, testing phase also we are having different types of testings. So I will explain in next slide. So phase 6 is the product release. Once the testing was done, then only the product will be released into the market. It's I can say it's a real time, okay, live product will be in live. And next phase 7, next post implementation activities will be happen. Is there any changes or is there any new version release? As you all know that SDLC methodologies, we have different type of methodologies: waterfall, iterative, spiral, agile, V, and big bang model. So nowadays, all the reputed organizations are following like waterfall or agile or V model. Apart from these three, no one is following the other models. Okay, waterfall means like it's a step by step process. Means once the requirement completes, then only analysis will start. Analysis completes, then only design will start. So the drawback of this waterfall model is like it's a step by step, right? Only one phase completes, then only the other phase will start. So this is the drawback of this waterfall model, I can say. And V model means if any requirement specification will be any requirement specification is happens at the same time, the developer will do the same thing, and testers is also preparing the document of this requirement specification, and both are parallelly doing at the same time, so that it will the complexity of the project will be happens in this. And methodology, it was this complete methodology was not that flexible compared to other agile model. As you all know that nowadays, since every software industry is following the agile model, so agile model means everyone is using the Jira boards, right? Nowadays. So Jira board means any new requirement will come, they will create a new user story. The user story comes to the testers or a developer. Everyone should follow this. So here the main thing was like all the piece of code will be splitted into like sprints. As you all know that, right? Every sprint it will takes for 2 weeks. So each for every 2 weeks one sprint will happen. In that sprint meetings, what will go on is like they will implement few code. That code will be tested by testers, and that code will be released into the market. And is there any issues, or is there some mistakes will happen in the code, or is there any response times was higher, those things will be covered into the next sprints. So nothing will wait in between. So step by step, it will move on. So nowadays, all the software companies is following the sprints, and Jira board is they are following the Jira board. Okay, in Jira board, like user story will given by the developers, and we will accept the user story, and we will follow all the steps whatever we need to do. And once our planning test executions will be done, that will be reviewed by the developer, and then we can report to them, so that the sprint will end. How like that the agile methodology will happen. And coming to our testing life cycle, so our main goal is testing, right? So this software testing life cycle, we are having different phases: requirement gathering, test planning, test case development, environment setup, test execution, and test closure. All these are the different testing life cycle phases. So I will explain our performance testing life cycle phases in next slides. So before going to this software testing lifecycle or performance testing lifecycle explanation, I would like to give a simple overview of client and server. So what client will exactly do? Client is send the request to the server. Server means wherever the data and the database will be stored there. So whatever we are entered, if we take a Gmail example, I'm going to enter a login details. So it will fetch in the database and will pick up and get the response back to the client. Okay, this is the about a client and server. So we are having different types of tests in the market, right? Functional testing and non-functional testing. So in functional testings, we are going to cover, yeah. So we are going to cover this functional testing and non-functional testing. We are having two types. In functional testings, unit integration, system regression, user acceptance. These are all comes under functional testing. Non-functional testing means performance testing, security, compatibility, usability, and data conversion. So all these are comes under non-functional testing. So our performance testing is comes under non-functional testing. Okay, and next, please go through all these. What is unit testing, integration system, all these things. I don't want to explain in deeper level. You can pause the video and you can read it. I am thinking that this is not that much important. Okay. And the tools for perform, okay, whatever the tools we have in the market for functional and non-functional. Functional means it covers manual and automation testing, right? So functional testing tools are like as you all know that Selenium, HPUFT, Appium, etc. Non-functional testing tools is ours, right? Performance and security. Performance testing also in market we are having a lot of tools: LoadRunner, StormRunner, Silk Performer, NeoLoad, IBM RPT, Jmeter, different tools we have in the market. Okay, LoadRunner was Primarily, LoadRunner was implemented uh, by Mercury, and it got adapted to by like acquired by HP, and from HP I think 2019 end of the December, this Micro Focus has signed to acquire this LoadRunner by Micro Focus. Okay, so it was licensed and it was costly tool, but in this we are having more features and more flexible compared to Jmeter. The LoadRunner was, and the Jmeter was implemented by, as you all know, that Java, Apache, and it was a free tool, and it was an open source and free tool. Like the advantages in Jmeter as Jmeter has, and the advantages of LoadRunner having LoadRunner has. LoadRunner will support only basic C language, but the Jmeter will support Java, JavaScript, Groovy, all the different type of coding languages it will support. That's what nowadays in the market this JMeter has more demand compared to the LoadRunner. And another thing I would like to say, for example, for functional testing, okay, 100 job requirement is there, but the 100 employees is already there to occupy those um, spaces. But for performance testing, 500 openings was there, but the testers, the performance testers who the performance employees was less. So out of 1,000 openings, only 500 people was there for performance testing. So that much demand there in the market nowadays. So that everyone is choosing the performance testing, and it was very easy, simple, and anyone can grasp easily compared to the other tools. And less coding also we have in this performance testing compared to development or Salesforce or others demand. Okay, and what exactly was performance testing? Okay, uh, I will give you a real time example. If we can take an example of Flipkart application. Okay, so if I would like to buy a mobile in during the time of sale, when I'm trying to hit to buy that application, like I mean buy that mobile and product, okay, sometimes you are seeing like 500 bad error, server down, or server error, internal server error, or bad request. Sometimes we are getting to see that page, right? So the reason why we are getting to see that page is the load to on that particular product hitting was more than expected. So by using our performance testing, we need to decide how much load that particular application can handle, and how reliability it was, and how the page speed was, and is the page is loading very faster or very slower. And definitely if the page were very slow, no user is interested to buy on that page, right? Definitely we got irritated. So 1 second delay in the page is 7% loss of conversions, and 11% few page views will happen. Definitely 16% decrease in customer satisfaction. If I can say $100 per a day in a website we can earn in a year, it could be 2.5 million sales will be lost due to this slowness of the browser, or the lack of reliability and lack of flexibility. So by using these performance tests, we can decide how predictable the application was, and how easy it was, and is there any bottlenecks we need to identify, and by which bottleneck these particular system slowness is happens, we need to decide. That is about performance testing, and why we need to use these tools for performance testing. Okay, so if we cannot bring the real time users, and we cannot sit them, and we cannot execute the test with them, right? That's the reason these tools was implemented. These tools what will exactly do is it will simulate like a real time browsing users. Okay, it will simulate same users like real time, and we can execute the test, and we can decide by using these tools. Okay.